We are so used to seeing Blake Corum hit that big play, that big, explosive, energetic play, but sometimes you gotta be methodical. Great time to subscribe to the channel. Big Ten content every single day. Always crush that like button. Look, it's just another dimension to Blake Corum and why I still believe he is the best running back in the Big Ten. We're so used to seeing that 30-yard, 40-yard, 50-yard. Eventually, Blake Corum breaks that big run. But his longest run against Michigan State was 17 yards. This was a Michigan State defense that zeroed in on trying to slow down the running game. The final box score will say they didn't do that. In the first half, I thought they did well. Made Michigan, and well, throughout the course of the game really, made Michigan kick a lot of field goals. I'll get to that in just a moment. But this Michigan team, Blake Corum and this running game, continue to wear down Michigan State. And there's going to be some games where you just can't hit the big play. It just doesn't work in the flow of a game. Maybe this was one of those games where Blake Corum needs to get you the tough yards. He needs to get across the first down line on 3rd and 1, on 3rd and 2. He needs to run between the tackles instead of bouncing it to the outside. You need to grind it out to try to wear down the defense. Maybe this was that game for Blake Corum and Michigan. Let's talk about JJ McCarthy, okay? We saw earlier in the game where maybe the running game wasn't the great explosive running game. Michigan State was maybe selling out on him. Maybe there's another term you could use for that, but they were focusing in on Michigan's running game. And, you know, you look at JJ McCarthy, and I'm not going to sit here and say he was great. Look, I don't think that's accurate. I'm not going to sit here and say he wasn't great either. Once again, I thought JJ McCarthy did what he needed to do. Wasn't great, wasn't bad. He did what needed to be done in the game, in the situation. But as long as I'm talking about JJ, I think a big part, a big dimension to his game that maybe wasn't seen a ton last season with Cade McNamara is his running ability. Right, I saw it in I'll call it a scripted versus non-scripted way. Right, in the non-scripted way, man, those 3rd and 6, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, something like that, when you got good coverage downfield and then JJ McCarthy finds a way to slither his way past the sticks and get a first down. And then, of course, those scripted plays, quarterback draws, reads, all that sort of stuff that comes in those design run plays from the quarterback position. It's just another dimension that Michigan can add to their offense. So I think a big question is going to be, how much better can JJ McCarthy get? How much better can this passing game get, right? I've talked about it, and I've said JJ McCarthy doesn't need to look great because this Michigan running game is really, really good, and I still believe that. But after this game, okay, you had to maybe put the ball into the hands of JJ more than you have had to in the past. What's going to happen if Michigan's run game is stymied? What happens if they just can't run the ball? Look, I don't know if that's going to happen, but what if it does happen? Does this game prove that JJ McCarthy can go out there and win it? I don't think it proves it, but I also don't think it disproves it. I still think we need to see a little bit more. I still think he's a better quarterback option than Cade McNamara. I don't think there's any question about that. This is a better offense, I believe, at Michigan than it was a season ago. So you're in a better place. And I believe this is a better Michigan team than it was a year ago. We'll see. We'll see later on to see if JJ McCarthy is a guy that can throw for a 200, that can throw for 300. I don't know if we're going to see that this season because of how good that offensive line, how good that running game is. JJ McCarthy does what he needs to do. Look, not every team has to be like Ohio State or Tennessee. Not every team has to throw for 300 or 400 for it to be a good passing game within their scheme. JJ McCarthy just has to do what these coaches ask him to do within the game plan, within their game flow. Boy, you talk about a weapon. Jake Moody, it's such a game changer when you have a reliable kicker that you can trot out there. And Jake Moody was that guy because this was an offense that was not putting the ball into the end zone, at least early in this game. Michigan State came up with stops, the kicks. The kicks were so big in this game. Speaking of kicks or lack of kicks for Michigan State, I really felt early in this game, and maybe I should give props to Mel Tucker for this. I really thought some people might look at it as desperate, going for it on fourth down, kind of deep in that territory and not kicking the field goal. Some people might look at it, oh, he's going for the win. He wants to get kill shots kind of early in this game because he knows he can't settle for field goal, not trusting. Whatever it is, I just am not sure if it was the right decisions. Obviously I can say that in hindsight. Obviously I can say this not having stepped foot into Michigan Stadium, and I understand what he was trying to do. But I feel like in a game like this against a team like Michigan that has such a methodical running game that can take time off the clock, that can limit your offensive possessions, I feel like you got to get as many points as you can when you can get them. But that's just my way of looking at it. Obviously, Mel Tucker and that offensive coaching staff was calling the certain game a certain way to try to get a certain result. There's something to be said. There's something to be said about a team that's a great team, and we know Michigan is a great team. But there's something to be said. Well, maybe your running game isn't going. Maybe you're not getting the end zone. You're kicking field goals. When you're not playing your best and you still find a way to beat your rival by 3 touchdowns. There's something to be said about that. And I think that's a mark of a great team. When maybe one area of your team or one area or one, is not maybe playing the best, but other areas of your team step up. I thought it was funny. The ABC sideline reporter coming out of halftime said Mel Tucker told her they can't cover our wide receivers. And they covered them like a blanket then in the second half. Big time adjustments in the secondary. Let's talk about Michigan State. Look, they got good receivers. I think Keon Coleman, he proved that he's good. You look at Jaden Reed, you look at Daniel Barker, Trey Mosley. Look, there's guys. The more I watch Peyton Thorne, the more I'm like, we know Mel Tucker's a transfer portal guy, and he might be looking for a quarterback this offseason. Okay, and there's just been a lot of parts, I think, to this offense that just haven't meshed well together. And I think at Michigan State the last 2 seasons, the transfer portal will giveth and the transfer portal will taketh away, so to speak. You saw what you got out of Kenneth Walker, how he made that offense so much better. And then you look at guys where Berger and Broussard, where I thought they would combine and make a decent tandem, but it just hasn't worked out. Look, some years you're going to hit it, some years are not. And this is a year where maybe it hasn't worked out exactly like Michigan State has. But I look at certain parts of their team in flashes, like the first half. When they go down, Keon Coleman makes a couple of big plays. In flashes, they can make some plays. But the consistent offensive output just hasn't been there. I want to know what you guys think. Are you concerned at all about JJ McCarthy and the passing game right now? Or is he just working within the game plan, working within the game flow right now? I want to hear your thoughts on JJ McCarthy. Also want to hear your thoughts on Michigan State. How do you see them finishing the season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to Big Ten Ted. I'm Big Ten Ted, and we'll see you in the next one.